Hey, good afternoon or good evening wherever you're at. Good morning in some places, I suppose. This is Christy Renee from Mind Rewire and Christy Renee Healing Ministries. And I just wanted to jump on and kind of talk this out because I'm working it out in my own mind and have been kind of talking about this a lot lately, more so than usual. And literally just need to kind of work it through for a second because I don't know. Because I don't know. And it's fine that I don't know, but in not knowing, it makes you want to figure it out, right? Your ego brain kicks in. So what I'm talking about is literally the idea of becoming yourself, your true self, right? So it's a thing I've taught for years. Go into your heart space and you find this level of peace. You find a level of calmness that you don't find in the outside world typically. And in finding that level of peace, I call that spirit, and your higher self, your I am self, there's all kinds of names for it. And I think we're all talking about the same thing, relatively. It's called heart coherence, and there's science behind it. So when your heart is coherent with your brain, you get these crazy cool effects that go on inside the physical body. But if you go deep enough into that space, it is what I have considered the secret space of the Most High that's mentioned in Psalms 91. You go deep enough into that space, or even just entering that space, and you'll just find this peace that'll knock your socks off. So since my death, and because of my death, part of what I saw was a layer of beings that were beyond the level of what I would call like familial, the ancestral kind of stuff, the ancestral typical stuff. So there was a layer of beings that were there that seemed to be beyond that. And I was told different things by all kinds of different people as to what they were, what they probably were, you know, what they definitely were, of course. And none of it seemed right. None of it made sense to me. So I just kind of let it go. And I go back to it and I contemplate it and I sit in it and I look at it. And the other day I had an experience and I made a little video. I've talked about it a few times. And I made a video about it yesterday or this morning. I don't remember. But literally at the singing bowl session that I had, it was presented back to me, this idea, and I've heard about it before, but never had such direct experience until my death with the watcher that watches the watcher, right? Watches whatever it is you really think you are. So I've got my physical self and my physical identity and the ego and all the stuff that supposedly goes along with that. And then inside my heart space is a spirit, and then through my spirit I can sit and just observe the physical. I can observe my emotions, I can observe the issues I've been through, I can observe, you know, whatever from the space of inside your heart. And then it's like, well, that's my true spirit, my innermost self, my higher self, my I am self, right? Talk to it however you want to talk to it. But in that dying, there was something else. There was a self that was watching that self as well as could see everything else that was available to see from that place or at that place or through that place or all of those things. And during this singing bowl session, I had the experience again where I was watching. I was out of my body, watching my body and the lady playing the singing bowls, and just marveling at all of it from that place. It was so amazing. And then realized that there was something else watching me. So it was another, it seems to me like a step ladder effect of higher levels of consciousness, and you're probably watching yourself through those higher levels of consciousness. But I got to go up and glimpse through those eyes and was watching directly myself, watching my physical, watching the lady. I hope this makes sense. But it was so interesting, and it just alters you. I can't even explain how it just changes your dynamic. And it's almost like losing, and losing not in a bad way, but losing, you're like sloughing off layers of you that have been programmed or set in by this construct that we live in. There we go. Maybe that won't be so hard to hold up. My hand's already getting tired. So I was just talking to somebody. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of ladies, and highly intelligent people that are very high level in what they do and how they think and how they conduct themselves, like the whole thing, right? They're just awesome people, and they're awesome beings. And one was asking about the Elohim, and how, like, if you're your higher self and you know that part of you, and you hear that part of you talking back to you or through yourself, right, through your heart space, is that the Elohim? And so in this case, if you like know the history of that stuff, Yahweh was the Elohim that directly interfered with, supposedly, humans' DNA and created what we now know as us. And it's been tinkered with over and over since then, I'm assuming, up until the COVID shots, right? Am I allowed to even say that still? I don't know. So, so Yahweh was an Elohim that tinkered with our DNA, right? That was kind of the Garden of Eden story. And so the other Elohim, right, there's an Elohim that's actually mentioned once, I think, in the Old Testament, named El Elyon. And he was spoken about like the head, so he was like the top dog of the Elohim. And Yahweh was not. Yahweh was just like some lackey that was running around creating havoc, and they gave him humanity to mess with just to keep him busy, is the way it kind of comes out. Not a nice dude, not a very, like, he liked eating humans, he loved the smell of burning flesh. Like, go down the list, right? Kill them all, get rid of all their stuff, don't save any of it. And so, that kind of stuff really sucks on that level. And in order to find the true self, do we have to talk, like if you're praying, is that the entity you're praying to? Because he wrote his name on our DNA, right? Have you heard that one? And so in my head, I'm thinking, okay, there's obviously a being above the Elohim, right? That we know that we're entities that kind of took over this space, Earth including its outer area, its outer rim, including what we call the universe, all the planets in it, right? That's what I've seen, right? Through my own eyes, through my own vision, and what I've understood. But that leader, El Elyon, is not the top dog. If you call creator, the true creator that really created all of this, including the ones that created us, that creator is not El Elyon. I do not believe. It felt like something else when I left, when death came. I don't know how to say it well. If El Elyon is not the top dog, is not creator, they created just like we create, which is why some people say, well, we're gods, like we create all the time. Thought, feeling, right, combined, and you're creating your reality. It's just the way it works. But they were literally tinkering with what we're made of. And we were already here, right? There was already beings on the planet. If you read the text, you can see it. If you read all of it, it makes you just stop and go, wait, what? Right? Look up Mauro Biglino. He can give you way deeper insight into all of that stuff. But her question was, is that who you're talking to? Is Elyon? Or is it Yahweh when we're hearing through our heart space? And my only thought was, you know, as you climb the steps of the ladder, and it's literally like it's steps, I get into my heart and I think that's it, but then I see another watching. And then I get behind those eyes and I realize that's me too. And in that space, I have to look around and be like, okay, what else is out here? And then eventually you're going to see that there's another watching that one watching. And it's like climbing, I mean, the only way I worded it earlier was to say that maybe it's the top of the tree of life and getting to that place where all of a sudden it is you at the top and you can look down and see all of it and make some sense of it. But until we get there, there's no sense. There's no, I mean, our language is insufficient to articulate it, right? It's why they got rid of some of the older languages that could articulate it, so we couldn't, we don't have the mind, we don't have the language to speak to it. But I do think it's climbing that ladder. There's more out there to touch and to get to than what we see here. And what you see from your heart space, right? What I've taught for years is that's your spirit, that's your, but then there's another one watching the spirit. And then outside of that, there's the energy that comes from that space is way different than the energy from here. It's motivating in a different way. It's moving in a different way. I don't have sufficient words. So anyway, what I'm thinking is the God, if we want to use the word God, which I don't care to use, but if we use that word, the creator, the source of everything, including the Elohim, there's something outside of that. And that would be the goal, to get to that. If it's Yahweh you're trying to get to, I'm guessing it won't be too hard. Ay, ay, ay. And if it's El Elyon, I would be asking him a lot of questions. And I had asked, there's a guy named Paul Wallace, you can Google him. He talks about this kind of stuff a lot too. And he's kind of gone, I won't even say anything. But you can look him up and listen to some of his earlier stuff, was really good. And I had actually asked him one day, I got on a call with him and asked him, is Yahweh dead? Like, did that entity actually die? Was it an entity that could lose a form? And he just laughed. He goes, I can't really answer that. But all he did was laugh. He's like, and it was like, oh my gosh, like he just thought of it too. I don't know. I don't know. There's more to this than meets the eye. And if you're chasing that and holding your thought space and your awareness, holding your focus on that instead of the stuff that's going on in this world around us, I think you'll get way further, way faster. I just want to say I love you. Thank you for being here, and we'll talk again soon.